Hello, everybody. This is the solution. These are the solutions to your quiz. And I just found out that it doesn't look like you can see the comments that I made. I spent a lot of time making comments on everyone's quiz, and I'm not sure if I can even share that with you, which is infinitely frustrating to me. But seeing these solutions is very, very important. So I hope you are watching and listening and following through as we prepare for our test, which is Monday. So the questions were randomized. So everyone had a different set. And I got, for number one, this question. So x to the fourth is the green one, and the absolute value thing is this purple one. And it's asking which x values make the green thing greater than the absolute value. So the answer is only in x values. Well, let's just take when x is 0, what is the result when x is 0? Well, when x is 0, the absolute value function is greater than the x to the fourth function. When x is 1.348, they both functions produce the same thing. So both functions are equal at that point. But if x were 1.349, the x to the fourth function would be greater than the absolute value function. And that pattern continues forever until infinity. So part of my answer is greater, x value is greater than 1.348. But then also over here, all the x values less than negative 1.565. These y values should not be used at all. And you need to express your answer in interval notation. That's what it says. So you could try to, saw some people doing this, which is clever, and that's full credit. If you want to do that, you're totally fine. But you have this option over here, this fx, to write it out. So parentheses, negative, I think underneath the relationships, you have the infinity symbol, parentheses, negative 1.565, and then union, which is an operator, parentheses again, 1.348, all the way to infinity. Parentheses everywhere, because the question was, when is it just greater than, not greater than or equal to? I double checked to make sure it's the answer I want. I press done. It converts it to code, which when I see it, when it's presented, it looks like exactly how you want it to look. So that is it. No work needed for that one. Oh, I don't think I pressed submit. Whoops, press submit next time. All right, for number two. Oh, no, okay. Number two, everything was fine. But this one, this is the or equal to. This is the equal to. When is the green equal to the absolute value? Well, they are only equal to each other at two spots. And I saw some people use parentheses here, which is not good because parentheses would indicate either an ordered pair or an interval. Both of those things are wrong. You're telling me what x is. X is negative 1.565 and also 1.348. Braces are used when you're listing actual numbers, or you could just write negative 1.565 and then 1.348. That is full credit. I forgot my little negative there. Now, number three, f of 500. This is a piecewise function. 500 is not less than negative 5. 500 is greater than 0. So all you need to write is f of 500 equals negative 1. Done. Full credit, full credit, full credit. Some people were really getting confused and saying that x equals negative 1. No, x is 500. I want to know what's y when x is 500. And when x is 500, y is negative 1. And some people have a real bad habit of writing this. This is not correct. And it's easy to get away with, but it's incorrect thinking, and it's going to cause you problems either now or in the future. But f of x is this whole function. It just doesn't equal negative 1. F of 500 equals negative 1. Number 4, I have to write out this piecewise function. Okay, so first of all, I've got my parabola with only one transformation. It just shifted to the left 4 places. It didn't shift up or down, didn't flip, and it didn't stretch. So one transformation only to the left 4. So that is my first thing. And for squares, I don't have to go to this math quill. I could just go here, press square, and I'm done. But when does this function exist? Everything between -6 and -3, including -6, excluding -3. So here I don't have a less than or equal to, so I need to go to my math quill, unfortunately. Unless one of you could tell me how to write that out. So -6, I'm sorry, x has to be greater than or equal to -6. So let me just write that out. X is greater than or equal to -6. But x has to, at the same time, be less than -3. This is the correct domain for that parabola part. Lots of people were, not lots of people, but some people were writing, let's see, x squared plus 4. We should be way beyond this. I wonder if you're listening, because x squared plus 4 is a parabola that's up 4. X squared minus 4 is a parabola that's down 4. If you want to move it left or right, it has to be in the parentheses, then squared afterwards. As soon as you square x, the parabola is done. Anything after that is just vertical movements. You've already got a parabola. So you have to move it to the left 4 first, and then square it. And then this point. I saw lots of weird answers for this that was correct. That made me wonder. I don't know what the thinking was, but this is a single solitary point, and f of x is telling you what the y value is. Okay, here the y value is -6. So you would just write down -6. But what's the domain? Well, for this point, there's only one point, which means there's one y value and there's one x value. The x value for this point is -3. So you could write when x is -3. That's full credit. That's all I want you to write. That's all you should write. And then the last piece is this line, which has a slope of -1 and a y-intercept of -1. Again, I was getting some crazy answers with parentheses and numbers all over the place. Somehow, I don't know what's going on, but the slope is -1. And the y-intercept is -1. So this is, remember, mx plus b? This is what's going on here. This -1x minus 1. That is the linear equation for this line, but this line only exists between -3 and 0. Some people went to +1 or -1, but the domain is from -3, this x value, to this x value, 0. And you get to write that without going to the math quill, because everything is just less than, not less than or equal to. So there's that correct answer. I got this for number 5. Notice it says show work. If you didn't show work, you didn't get all the credit, even if you were right. You just have to show work. Show work. No work equals no credit. So how are you going to show work here? Let me show you. First of all, you have to figure out which piece -2 belongs. And is -2 less than -4? No. Is -2 greater than 1? Nope. -2 is less than 1, but also greater than -4. So -2 belongs in this piece. And that's great. If you could do this in your head, I believe you can, but I asked you to show work. So if you want full credit, show work. And this is what you do. Show me that you are plugging in -2 into that piece. And that equals 2 plus 3, which equals 5. Full credit, you're done, done, done. If you want to go maybe the extra mile, you could say this, which is totally true, but you don't have to. 5 for that one. This, what are the x values? This was the hardest one, I think, of the quiz. what are the x values that make the absolute value of this function greater than or equal to 1? So I would go to my scratch paper here and get my little marker out and just think, okay, so I want to find, this is when the y value equals 1. So I can see right here, when x is 12, it's equal to 1. And when x is 13, it's greater than 1. And when x is 14, it's greater than 1 still. And when x is 15. So 12 and beyond looks like it'll produce a number that's greater than or equal to 1. But it's asking for the absolute value of this blue function. Well, the absolute value is the distance from 0. So if the distance is already positive, it will remain positive. But if the distance is negative, it'll show you the positive version of that, because -3 is 3 away from 0. So for instance, this y value looks like it's -0.4. Well, the absolute value would make it positive 0.4. This y value looks like -0.8. The absolute value would make it positive 0.8. This y value looks like -1, so its absolute value is positive 1. This one way over here is -3. Its absolute value is positive 3. And I'm going to try my best to kind of draw this. So this section right here, well, let me just continue. I got my caffeine flowing through me here. Okay, so the red is acting as the absolute value of the function. And the question is, what x values will make the absolute value of the function greater than or equal to 1? Well, certainly this chunk over here, everything from -4 to 0. It's the results are at least 1. But then also don't forget 12 and beyond. So the answer here is everything from -4 to 0 and from 12 to infinity. So I would go to my little math function here, and I'm including those endpoints because it says greater than or equal to. So -4 to 0, union that with 12, remember, to infinity. And infinity always has a parentheses on it. So this is the correct answer for that problem. The hardest problem in the quiz, I believe. Moving on to number 7. It doesn't say show work. So if you do show work, that's a bonus, but you're not obligated to. Find f of 5. That means 5 is the x value. What's the y value when x is 5? And here's when x equals 5, and it looks like the y value is right here at -1. So you could just write that and get full credit. I would prefer a complete sentence that f of 5 equals -1. That's full credit. May God have mercy on your soul if you write that, because f of x is the whole function. F of 5 equals -1. Graph this. Absolute value of x minus 3 and then -3 between these two domain values, and then this parabola for all of these domain values. So I would go back to my scratch work and try to draw this out. It was x minus 3 minus 3. And if I remember, this was from when we had to graph this one. This is the one that I wanted you to draw on a piece of paper and send me a picture of it. And a lot of you did a great job there. Thank you very much for embedding your picture into the Canvas quiz. It was very helpful for me. So how are we going to do this? Well, let me get my marker out and try my best. So absolute value function, looks like the V. This is a transformation to the right, 3, and then down 3. So from the origin, 1, 2, 3, and then down 3, 1, 2, 3. So I would draw a little dot right there. And absolute value functions they go up 1 over 1. in both directions, unless there's a stretch here. Unless there's like a 2, then it would go over 1, up 2. But there ain't. So you would go up 1 over 1, angling to the right and then to the left. Alternatively, I like this too. You could plug in the 2 endpoints and then connect the dots. So for instance, -5, if you plug in -5 into x, -5 minus 3 is -8. The absolute value of -8 is 8. And then 8 minus 3 is 5. Did I do that right? -5 minus 3 is -8. Absolute value of -8 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. Okay, so -5 as an x value produced 5. So that's an ordered pair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's these two are connected like that. And this is a closed circle because its x is greater than or equal to -5. So notice that the function exists for values greater than or equal to x equals -5. But what about when x is 4? On the other side, if x is 4, you have 4 minus 3, which is 1. The absolute value of 1 is 1, and 1 minus 3 is 2. If people made a mistake, they made a mistake here. When you plug in 4 for x, you get 2. So from the origin, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 2, right there. And you have an open circle here. So that's the absolute value piece of this function. The quadratic piece of this function, again, transformations. So to the right 5 and up 4 is where the vertex is. The vertex is normally at the origin, but this one is to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's where the vertex is. And imagine the parabola swooping down and touching that vertex. That's the bottom part of this parabola. But this parabola begins when x is 4. So if you plug in 4 into x, 4 minus 5 is -1. -1 squared is 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. Again, plug in 4 for x. 4 minus 5 is -1. -1 squared is 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. So when x is 4, the y value is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If I go up 5, and there's a closed circle here. Remember, the vertex was here. So you had to swoop down and hit the vertex, and then again swoop upwards. And then that is the correct graph. Take a picture of that, put it into the problem, and you're getting full credit. Closed circle on the parabola part because it's or equal to 4. Open circle on the absolute value part because it's just less than 4. And there you have it. And doesn't say show work. So I guess you don't have to show work. Find f of 0. Well, is 0 less than or equal to -5? No. Is 0 greater than 0? No. So undefined. Here's the graph of g of x. What are the x values so that this function equals 1? Well. What are the x values that make this equal 1? Well, here's when y equals 0. It doesn't, if it said, what are the zeros? I would say there are no real zeros because it never touches the x-axis. But it does equal 1 here, here, and here. And those x values are -2, +3, and +4. -2, +3, +4, done, full credit. The most common incorrect answer was 6.5. And it took me a while to figure out where in the cuss word are they getting 6.5. And then it hit me. People were letting x equal 1. It's true that g of 1 equals 6.5. At least that's what it looks like. When x is 1, the function looks like it produces 6.5, though I'm not so sure. But that would be a good guess. But that's not what the question is asking. It was asking for what's the x value that produces a y value of 1? And if you wrote down 6.5, you told me a y value that is the result of x equaling 1. So, no. Oh, number 11. This is a good one, too. We have to write this piecewise function. So, first of all, this one, think about all the ordered pairs on this horizontal piece. What do they all have in common? They all have one thing in common. All of these y values are -1. So that is the equation, y equals -1. Since this is a piecewise function, you would ideally have f of x equal and then a big bracket to contain all the pieces, but we don't have that luxury. So we'll just have to do our best. So the one horizontal piece is y equals -1. Some people were writing x equals -1. That's not correct. X equals -1 is a vertical line. This is y equals -1. For what x values, though? For all the x values between -6 and -2. So -6 is less than x, which in turn is less than -2. Or better yet, x is greater than -6, but at the same time less than -2. And then the ordered pair, again, some weird answers that were all correct. Don't know what the thinking was. I would love to hear about it. But if you just have one single solitary point, then guess what? You have one x and one y. So that's all you got to tell me. The y is -2. And that occurs when x is also -2. You need it right like that, just like all the homework was written and all the notes were written. And there you go. The third piece, slanted line. And lucky for us, we could figure out the slope. It has a slope of 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And it has a y-intercept of -1. So mx plus b, this is 1x minus 1. That's the equation of this line. And this line only exists when x is, greater than -2, but at the same time less than or equal to 5. So x is greater than 2, but at the same time less than or equal to 5. Next. Oh, show work. Please show the work. F of -5. When x is -5, which piece does it belong to? The top piece, of course, because -5 is less than -4. Doesn't belong anywhere else. So you're using this piece. How would you show your work? Very simple. Just show me that you're using the right piece. -5 plus 7 squared minus 2 equals, well, that's 2 squared minus 2, which equals 4 minus 2, which equals 2. If you just had 2 and no work supporting it, you're not getting credit. And that's it. Submit. I very much hope that this was beneficial. And please watch this video again and watch the video on quiz 1 again to prepare for the test. Redo those homework problems. Talk to me if you've got questions. I want to help. Thanks very much, and I will see you